Inauguration day evening. It's about midnight in Portland, Oregon. It is now probably officially January 21st. Anyways, last night, J20, Portland hit it off as we normally do to start off the country's chaos. And in the mid afternoon, there was an Antifa march, a couple BLM marches, nothing particular, but the People's Democratic Convention building, the big fancy overpriced brick building that holds the Democratic Party's important notepad, was vandalized, attacked. There was lots of footage, lots of windows broken, lots of people dressed up in black with crowbars and stuff like that, bashing out windows. That's not surprising. And Portland was not really Biden fan. They just are anti anyone. Just give them someone in power and they'll want to fight it. So that's what Portland's at right now. This evening, though, it got pretty interesting, pretty good down to the ice facility. Normal spot that people go and protest and raise a ruckus at. Tonight, though, however, protesters were hoping that it was going to be different. Federal troops came out and they unleashed a whole bunch of nasty shit on people tonight. Regular CS gas, which is tear gas, if you're unfamiliar with the gases and haven't tasted it, it's not very friendly. It is manageable when you've got a pretty decent mask and a fairly new filter. Tonight, there was probably HC gas, which is a different level toxin, and it actually catches up on people days afterwards. We had it a couple times this past summer when federal troops, which are not hindered in what force they can use on civilians. Our local Portland Police Department held off on using CS gas after multiple neighborhood complaints of civilians in their houses were getting gassed at night. And the local Portland Police Department put their tear gas, their CES gas, on the shelf temporarily until Governor Brown decided to federal marshalize some of the Portland cops so that they could start using heavy ammunitions against its population again. And, of course, since the federal troops were doing their thing against their federal building, the protesters that wrote "Abolish ICE" in spray paint on the sidewalk got unloaded upon before a riot was declared officially. The tear gas, the paintball, the riot ball, the small ball munitions were deployed before the riot was announced. And that is Portland. That happens almost every single situation out here now. It is a super small provocation and then an unleashing of overwhelming, unfortunate, and unnecessary firepower. What you're seeing in the media between the building and the windows being broken and the unleashing of the much more toxic HC gas upon protesters tonight were at two different locations, two different situations going on in Portland. We often have 2, 3, or 4 going on, and the news just blends them all into one. So when you are reading or looking at some of the news, and it looks seamless as one situation, it's not. You've got outlandish actions happening on one side with zero repercussions. The Antifa that were blowing out the windows in the building were not even challenged. No cops showed up. It was just photographers taking pictures of a dozen guys dressed in black breaking windows in a building. Nobody else was around. And then all of a sudden, we've got a bunch of people doing their usual, almost nightly protest at the ICE facility in Portland, Immigrations, Custom, and extraction, the ice facility in Portland, and without hardly justified provocation compared to what we normally see, Fed troops came out and opened up a small can of toxic whoop ass on yourselves. That's what we're starting with. It's going to be mellow. It's going to be quiet. It's just going to be subtle and continuous. It's just going to be a festering. It's kind of like athlete's foot. Once you got it, you sort of hope you don't. You might fend it off for a little while. You might keep it at bay, but it's just going to keep itching at you, itching and driving you nuts. And once you finally do look down, you're surprised at how bad it was, even though you probably knew, but you just didn't want to look at it. So when you're thinking of the world politics, the upheaval, the unrest, the social inequities, just think of athlete's foot. You know it's there. If it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. If you're a little bit on edge, it's going to creep up. And there's a whole lot of people out there that are trying to forget or ignore that they've got it. And then, of course, there is the companies that are making a profit off of everyone involved. And that's the funny spot. That's what's rubbing the crew wrong out here. A lot of people are making money off this situation in the COVID and the lockdowns and the upheaval. A lot of people are making a lot of money. And those people are getting angry with folks that are just fighting to have their voice heard and earn an extra buck. 2021. Not even a month in, we're already making it fun. From the Portland Prepper in Portland, Oregon on Inauguration Night, letting you know that the shit is still hitting the fan out here. Keep your stick on the ice. Make a kid smile. Throw some gold in the pocket every once in a while. Help a neighbor out with a can of food. Find some kitty cat in a tree that you can save. Spread the word. People are good. The media, the government, the bankers, well, they own you by the balls. Take care. Have a good night.